Welcome to another episode of Galactic Ambassadors podcast. My name is Julia Balaz. I'm coming to you from Ireland, and today I'm joined by Amanda Joubert, who is coming to you from northern New South Wales in Australia. Today we are recording this podcast on the very auspicious date of 8th of August 2023, which is also associated with the Lionsgate portal. So for those who might not know what Lionsgate portal might mean, it is a time of year when the sun aligns with Leo's constellation. So if you would use the, for example, Star Walk app that I recommend to get to know the sky better, you will see that the sun right now is very close to Leo constellation. But today also we have Venus and Mercury within the proximity. And not only that, also the Sirius star is visible in the very early morning, and Orion constellation too. So we have kind of powerful cosmic energies, galactic energies of very powerful stars that are being magnified by the Sun, Mercury, and Venus during this time. So already from like late July, when Sirius was aligned to the Sun, we can feel the energies of the ancient Egyptian, ancient Atlantean coming through many starseeds into our memory, into our consciousness. There's a lot of energy healing and clearing of past trauma, blocks, karmic debts, all that has been coming up to surface. And I hope the viewers and everyone watching here is being very compassionate and tender with yourself as all kinds of emotions are coming up and all kinds of situations are happening. And we know it's all for the highest good as we are preparing our bodies to continue to align to higher and higher frequencies. So in order to do that, we have to release the old, release the heavy, to allow more light, more love to come true and be embodied in our physical reality. So welcome, Amanda. I'm really excited to welcome you on this auspicious day, because as I looked in your chart, you have a lot of Sirius A alignments, Sirius A star, which has been so prominent in the Egyptian culture, as well as Sirius B. But you have like quite a history there, I'm pretty sure, including your south-north nodes, your lunar path of your soul's evolution is conjunct and opposing Sirius and Vega star and Lyra constellation. So I'm sure you have a very rich history in connection to ancient Egypt, perhaps Atlantis, and certainly the star system itself, Sirius, which is considered by many, and especially the ancient cultures, as our spiritual sun, right? How are you today, and welcome?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much, Julia. This is a very exciting moment for me to be here on this auspicious day. I see it as like Soul's Jubilee. It's like a day where we can, or actually a period of time, about 10 days, where we can actually really purge, and it's like we can really release so deeply. It's absolutely gorgeous. And with the Sirius A energy, very interesting. I am pretty sure that I was in the Buddhist school when I was up in Sirius A with the masters, because I absolutely delight in a very esoteric line of Buddhism here, and I find it very natural and it's been very, very good for me. Very rich life. I came in with the blinkers off, part of the first wave of starseeds coming in, being aware, but also in denial for many years, as in it's very hard. It was very, very hard to live here on Earth through the times, holding the energies to radiate out, and really just always felt that was the only job I needed to do, was just radiate the energy, just ripple the energy out, and we'll be fine. So yeah, exciting times, very.
So like I can feel the wisdom and the light frequency coming through you. So I'm curious, you've been kind of sensitive or empathic and kind of in tune with more than just the physical reality from early on. Can you tell us a little more about your journey of consciousness expansion and perhaps integration of a very important part of you? And how did your spiritual journey kind of start and evolve?
It's quite a long story. In fact, people really want me to write a book. I mean, it's been such a journey, and we won't do that now. But I had a near-death experience as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old. And with that, it just ripped the veil off. And what happened was I saw, there was no veil. I could see spirit. I could see all the things hanging off all the aunts and uncles when they'd come in to give me the hug. And of course, I had this energy. Everyone wanted to cuddle me. Everyone wanted to hug me. And I just used to see all these things hanging off them that were really quite ugly and revolting. But I was so fortunate to have a great-grandmother. And this great-grandmother, like the special fairy godmother, I tell you, she in fact shared with me telepathy. And in that telepathy, she basically really laid down the thing that I must guard myself. And that was beautiful, but she didn't last very long. So fast forward to about 18, did my first psychic development course, heard about you create your own reality, and also another one that was more valuable for me, and I think it's very valuable for everybody right now still, is to not try, but just to be. So just resonate, just align with yourself, and that alignment is a big deal. Then I went adventuring all around the world and fell in love with somebody, a foreign man, and had 2 beautiful children who I really see as the second wave, because they came through me and they're just so unusual. They're so different, but they were lucky because I didn't have that kind of support as well coming through, except for my great-grandmother, but my grandmother, to myself, to now my daughters have it. And it's just gorgeous. It's a beautiful thing, but it's always about keeping in check. It's about keeping in check. It's not about ego. It's about mission, a responsibility, and waiting for the time. Then I think it was in the late 90s, done my teacher training training this type of level of thing. I was teaching psychic development for an academy. Really great. Loved it because it really gave me all the tools, all the esoteric stuff, chakra cleansing, house clearing, all the different layers, getting rid of demons, demon hunter. I used to call it the demon hunter. So it was really fantastic fun. I had a great time, and I had a practice, and I found that things that people weren't clearing, and there was a bit of a stuck moment with that energy world. So I did clinical hypnotherapy to work on that subconscious level. So I have that whole spiritual gamut, and then also the subconscious, and I love it. And of course, when you're in practice, you just start developing your own way of doing things, and it's a beautiful thing. That's, my way of managing myself. It doesn't mean that I don't have things to deal with, but one of the major things is to really ground, be aligned, try not to be anything other. One of the things that I found fascinating was that I ended up being involved with a whole lot of main calendar people. And they worked it out that I was a white mirror, and that I reflect back to people their own issues. And so that's been the major thing that I've personally had to deal with all through my journey, whether it's in practice or whatever. But it works beautifully in practice because I can really help the people because I can see it. It creates a very interesting road in a personal life, though. So working through that all the way up to the early 2000s, and because I was meditating so much, I was having a lot of bleed through and what we used to call parallel lives. But in fact, I've learnt my word for it is layered lives. We're coexisting. And so instead of it being like the Jedi, just forget everything when I woke up in the morning, an incident happened where I could feel myself trans-dimensionally coming back into my body to do something very important within the household. That was my moment. I went spiritually. There's nobody, none of my friends knew what was going on. None of my spiritual peers knew what was going on. So I realized there was something that was very important for me. That's a story in itself. So then I started doing a workshop, and I created this workshop that was about meeting your celestial self back in the 2000s. And it didn't really take off because it was timing is always a bit of an issue for me. And I'm pretty sure that's got to do with my galactic center-ish type energies that go on a little bit ahead of time. that was a really interesting one, but I was very aware of it. And I did something called Universal White Time, which was a channeled healing. And you basically was teaching you all sorts of beautiful energies. I really loved it. And the symbol that I use is, in fact, diamond, from that diamond frequency, because I just resonate with that. So we come up to Dolores Cannon releasing her New Earth book. I was already called Amanda New Earth before that. That was my nickname online, Amanda New Earth, which was really funny. But it was because of the energies, it all matched me. It wasn't New Age. It was all this beautiful energy that was available that I knew was coming very soon. It was coming. So 2012 came, 2012 went. We got up to, when was it? All the years. And then I was going, I've really got to find this starseed situation. What are these starseeds? What's going on? What starseed am I? I want some really good foundation. And I was watching this beautiful video of this beautiful woman talking all about galactic astrology. And that's you, Julia. And then I enrolled in the course and I loved it. I just loved it. I had to remember all the astrology I learned from 25 years before. But it was the most beautiful coupling, because I found that astrology, I didn't really like it because it wasn't going high enough in the vibe. It wasn't matching my consciousness. It wasn't giving me the answers. When I was reading people's charts, they were going, how do you know that? How can you see that? So I'm excited because I'm back here. And thank you so much, Julia. Thank you.
That's wonderful to hear how the expansion towards the stars and the galactic center helped you capture your attention back, focusing on astrology. You certainly, on your midheaven, you have Auriga Capella, and so funny how you mentioned the connection to the Mayan information and their astrology and their calculations, their tuning into your soul. I find it intriguing. And just so many incredible alignments. I just want to mention your sun is conjunct Crux Acrux star. We've mentioned it before in our podcast. And, especially when you mentioned the ability or focus on helping to clear really dark energies and teaching others how to do that too. I find that in connection to the Crux constellation, literally the ability to cast away evil spirits or feel strong in presence of darkness, holding really powerful light there. So another beautiful manifestation or validation of that.
Interesting, because you have to be quite strong and you have to not be fearful. You have to be able to be fearless actually in the face of that darkness. And it just dwindles. Interesting about Crux, because it's in our Southern Cross. And our Southern Cross is navigational. And that's what I love about the fixed stars as well, is that they are navigation points all over the planet. It excites me because the direction, and our Southern Cross is, when we see the Milky Way, we see the Milky Way in our skies every night. And Crux is part of the Southern Cross, and it's beautiful. It's just magnificent. Yeah. I am looking forward to really seeing how many people have these southern constellations.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely need to explore these more. I'm sure there's such powerful mythology and connection to other incarnations and how that is playing out now on Earth too. So you have so many incredible modalities under your belt. Some of them you've mentioned already. So the clinical hypnotherapist, you omit to mention the parapsychology. Would that be connected to some of the darker energies coming through? Can you tell us a little bit about parapsychology?
Oh, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because parapsychology is the qualification, but what it really means is the psychic development. It was called higher self connection. So you had to clean your energy field every day for 2 years to raise your frequency, become very responsible, be able to read everybody's aura, be able to heal them. So it's the entirety of energetic field, metaphysical healing, psychic development, just the whole gamut, so that you could deal very, very well with the paranormal. It was, portals, ley lines, just relaying lots and lots of different things. So, yeah, it was a very interesting time. And I said, of course, you're always using that. So, yeah, always using it. So that's what the parapsychology is. It's a different name for metaphysical specialist in the world that I was in, to name it that. It's a term that they used by the Academy, because it was the Academy of Applied Parapsychology. So not a mental level doing it. So all things that you can't see, all energies you cannot see with your eyes. So perfect for me, perfect.
I, again, just want to highlight what I've been saying so many times, that when we have a strong connection to Sirius in the chart and Vega, Lyra in the chart, that these people usually come to the forefront as teachers. And here you are again, and you really have Sirius and Vega sprinkled, especially Sirius, all over your chart. So such a powerful choice, especially your North Node in Cancer is in the 11th house, supporting the collective, supporting the higher vision for humanity by conveying the wisdom of the spirit to support our evolution. So that's pretty extraordinary. What about Orgonite? I believe you're also Orgonite artist. How did you come across that, and how can you share any of the stories that might help people actually resource Orgonite to support their energy fields?
Well, I've always been one of those truthers, you would say, because I don't have a veil. I could see the patterns and I knew what was going on, and I had watched the sky for a long time, and I knew that there were frequencies and cell phone towers and these types of energies impacting the energetic field. And I knew that there was Reich energy. I knew Wilhelm Reich, healing chambers, etc. And I just started looking into it. And so I just started making these little devices. I was the only woman in Australia that was making it at the time. And because I'm so sensitive, I couldn't do the clunky stuff and I'm not trying to be horrible. I had to raise its frequency. I had to come up with my own way. And so, of course, being connected with spirit, with wherever you come from, it started, all sorts of interesting things were coming through. So I created my own coil called the Amanda coil, and it is quite unusual. It creates toroidal field. So the energetic devices. And because the fine grade that I make things like this, can you see that? Is it a bit hard to see? Mm-hmm. Lots of crystals, and there's a crystal in there, but that is to wear so that it's actually emanating out around and fortifying your auric field. So that is one of my supremos that I just really love making. And I was selling them up until quite recently, and very soon they'll appear on my website. Just not quite yet. Haven't quite got that built through. Yeah. So all sorts of devices, resonance. So resonance is a big deal for me, and frequencies. Everything's resonance and everything's frequencies. And this is where I feel really vibed out with the Galactic Astrology, because to me, as soon as I saw it, I went, we can discover our own resonant connections. It's all resonance again and frequency, and that just no end excites me. I'm really looking forward to sharing that moment with beautiful souls who want those types of answers. It is a moment. It is a special moment, and it's written in your stars.
So to share common joy, because truly, even from your clients' reports, when I recall the feedback, and really they came to you with questions about specific star systems, why I either see certain connection to these star systems, or why, I see everyone is talking about Orion, but I don't really recall any memories there yet. What's going on there? And you were able to help them understand their connection, why it was unique, what was going on there. And after they received it, it was like, oh my goodness, it resonates. It makes so much sense. Now I can feel more at peace. I can actually really accept who I am, why I'm here. So, and they use very specifically a sentence we often say, it's like puzzle pieces coming together. Now I can see clearly what's going on. So It's just magic.
It's an alignment. It's a resonant alignment. It seems to be what I'm good at, and just seeing that and bringing in your resonant alignment. I'm not really one for fluff, but I'm very gentle, very kind, and very loving, and I'm there with you. And that's always been a skill too. I'm always there with you. You would know what that's like being a hypnotherapist with intuition. You're there with the person, and that's what it's like on the reading, so that I'm feeling it too. It's just beautiful. And also what's beautiful too is that sometimes the star family comes in.
Yes, I recall those. So when you held space during the hypnotherapy, was it like past life regression, or was it more focused on resolving emotional energy blocks? What was the hypnotherapy work focused on during your years?
Because you're clinical, it's of course you're trained for I was a medical one as well, medical hypnotherapist. So I used to prep people before operations, all of that type of thing, very good at it, anesthesia and all of those types of things. But I really love the spiritual journey. So what I found was with the hypnotherapy, down in that subconscious, there's two doors, these beautiful two doors. And one door is subconscious and the other one is the soul spiritual. And I could see the two. And so it would be getting them to work together. That's where I found that just open up. And so again, it's very similar to any soul journey. It's just another tool.
Oh, I feel you can really share stories that would fill books upon books of your experience. And what excites me really the most is the level of training you had through life, through exposure to your clients' subconscious and then greater consciousness as well. So much of the study and then teaching, because especially when you teach what you're learning, it really becomes integrated. So what a treat to have you in our community. Amanda, is it okay if we share your website that you recently published? So the website is called innergenie.com. So there are different types of sessions that you offer with your Galactic Astrology or Quantum Soul Guidance. Can you tell us a little more about those?
Absolutely. This website has meditations on it and the Galactic Astrology Soul Journeys. Because I was doing expanding consciousness meditations last year live with groups of people. So what I thought I'd do was I'll package them up and pop them on this website for people. So the first package that I've got is gold. So you get the most amazing amount of time, because sometimes when we've got a lot like this just resonates and you really want to go deep dive and you really need that time. So I've got like an hour and a half session and then a follow up and also a healing session. It's all separate sessions so that then we can create a meditation just for you, a healing session, a meditation recorded for you. All of them are recorded for you to really go over them. And so that's recordings and just a written brief. I don't do written reports, but I do briefs so that you can see the writing. I think that's really important. And in that gold one, it also has the whole meditation collection. If anybody wants a free 9-minute relaxation, they can go to the meditation tab and there's one on there for you to go. And it's all on site, which is really great. It's all in there. So that's a beautiful thing. You just go through checkout and then you get all the way over into an account is created, and in there you'll make your bookings for it. So then we've got silver, which is a nice long session, about an hour, and then a nice little follow-up. And then we have deep dive, which will dive in, which is a much shorter one. But of course, there's a lot of hours behind where we've got to do a lot of research, a lot of calculations, a lot of tuning in. We need our nourishment to tune in, So the dive in is a really nice opportunity as well. And also simply because sometimes people don't know or have no way of knowing their birth time. And to me, this is a perfect opportunity. They can use that opportunity simply to have an Akashic record reading. Or if you were just wanting to have sort of just a question, or just you do have your birth details, you can still put them in. And everything's really self-explanatory, the forms, everything, and it's really great. But I have something, if you don't know your perfect birth time, I've actually got a page there too on that menu for finding out your birth time.
I
So
love
that's
that.
good.
Really, really awesome. And also the fact that you offer healing and clearing too, if there is a clearing of energy. I remember that from your certification clients' reports that when you find something in the soul records that is creating some kind of energy block that affects or influences this current life, you take your client through healing experience, which is like a paradigm shift.
Absolutely. And it's just really nice, instead of it to being those resonant connections, that then something might come up and we can actually work on that specific. So to me, that was a perfect, and I only offer it in the gold pack, the gold package.
Very good.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so excited, Amanda. Is there anything else from your offering that we didn't mention yet? Anything else that you would like to highlight or talk about?
I really enjoyed working with men. I found that it really aligned for them. It's something that is a beautiful experience for them. They are really ready to align with this part of themselves. And I've watched a few of these men, because they're in my personal circle, just fly. They're just comfortable. And in fact, they're really on their journey now. You know, it's a beautiful thing. They're standing strong. They're doing things differently. And it's just beautiful to see the result of one of these readings, what it does. They're more empowered. Oh, that's why no one else got that, they say. No one else got that. And you're telling me this is what it is. And so it really empowers straight away. It's just, I feel really, it's a most cherishing moment. It's a cherishing moment for me to share that space with anybody. It's a privilege, and I really hold it dear. And a lot of what I do is very spiritual based and with great integrity. And I would love to meet you if there's somebody out there, and let me join you on your journey.
I am so glad you are mentioning men coming forward more and more. I remember even just like 2-3 years ago, we talked about, how nice it would be, or like we had this desire for men to start catching up with men that seem to have been leading the spiritual community. And I can see that there is a big ripple wave of many men coming forward, taking ownership of their inner space, healing, clearing, and releasing the blockages and fear and trauma they had in connection to their own spirituality, to their own divinity. And they're coming up so beautifully, powerfully, with great tenderness. Oh, it's amazing. And we're just scratching the surface. There's going to be many more. So I have such high hope for humanity, both male and female representation.
Absolutely beautiful. I actually find that really inspiring, watching the divine masculine and the divine feminine in males or females, doing their beautiful dance. And then all of a sudden a little alignment to maybe the divine feminine in a male. It is great. It's literally about letting things go. You learn to let go of certain things that are just unnecessary. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah, beautiful.
In terms of your own galactic astrology chart, which is packed with strong and spiritual stars, when you saw your galactic chart first, was there any particular star system that stood out most? Was like, oh, this is such a beautiful validation of what I've been feeling for so long. Tell us a little bit about your experience with seeing the stars in your chart.
My Saturn was one, because I had the connection with the stars when I was little. I didn't really talk about it. Beings is more in an aspect that's quite supportive. Yeah, I really helped me to understand a few things. And then also the Andromeda energy. The Andromeda energy is so comforting for me, and I'm so self-critical. Yes, that's it. That's the Andromeda energy. Achernar, that energy there is my elf. It is my whole, the way that when there was a drought on and the water in the water pipes were saying, let us out, we're trapped. This might sound absolutely, kind of crazy, but not for me, because they've all got spirit. in them. So that is another layer that's very normal for me to have to understand the nature spirits. So I found that very validating, and I'm very protective as well of nature.
So
I found
we
that.
haven't mentioned the star before. So it's Erridanus constellation and the star Achernar or Achernar. And so yours is again spread across many of the planets at different alignments, but starting already from Pluto opposing, then you have Neptune trine, this star, all within within 1 degree or even just a few minutes. Yeah. Mercury is trining it, south north trining, sextiling, your ascendant is opposing it, and sun trining it. So what you're saying here is that you feel your connection to elven nature is coming strongly through this constellation. And it's so amazing that you're mentioning it. We just had that discussion, I think a week or two ago, in our Quantum Soul Guidance course students community, where several practitioners started noticing in the soul records in connection to this particular star that it is indeed coming up as connection to elven beings, nature, lifetimes. So how exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the adventure on that one as well. The other sort of was my second house. That was my second household, a little stellium of Sun, Mercury, and Neptune together. That one there, it's very representative of myself. So I really loved seeing my second house and my third house big stars coming in.
So we are talking about Andromeda, Sirius, Vega, Achernar, and Pleiades, Super Galactic Center, Altair, Fomalhaut. So really powerful months.
I think it may help me to understand why I've had to have such broad shoulders.
Right.
We're layered people, as layered as all of my connections. We're very layered, and it's really lovely to see those layers explained, and I resonate with them. And again, that resonation is so important to go, I don't need to be bothered about that. That's not a problem. I don't have to fix that. That's actually my resonance. That's where I'm aligned.
That's beautifully said.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, with a couple of decades of your experience working with deep levels of consciousness, really diving deep into the layers of our consciousness, as you reflect back, can you see the change of consciousness, the rise, ascension of human consciousness? Can you see the evolving consciousness? Can you see it? Can you see the difference from what it felt like before and what is it like now? Can you comment on that a little?
I can. I've had consciously 40 years of it. And I say that because, you come of age, and I have watched where I've walked alone. Then to me, it's the gathering of people. It's not a lot of people. And, it's quite incredible. In fact, there's a video on my front page of my website, and I say, everyone, it's upon us. It's ascension, but I rather call it expanding consciousness, because we need to grasp a lot more. We need the space in our energetic field. It needs to be able to resonate at different, and it's an expansion of knowledge and information. I have just delighted on seeing more and more people, more since 2020 than I noticed before. It was just literally a sprinkling of people, but now there's kind people in the street, if you get what I mean. There's more and more people, definitely getting more and more. And of course, on the journey, when people are freshly woken up, they do go through a lot of different initiations. It's not always easy. They learn that they have a power. They learn that it's a little bit like being an adolescent, and they can misuse their power for a little while. And that's initiation to come back into line and, start working on balancing those polarities. So, balancing the polarities. 6th house and 12th house polarity for me has been a big one. The whole chart, sorry. Yeah.
Really good. In terms of how heavy the energies that were coming through for clearing, would you say they were a lot heavier back then comparing to what is coming through now? Or is it almost like it's much quicker? It's like really powerful it doesn't have to be long and strenuous clearing, casting out of stuff. Now it's much quicker. Would you agree?
Definitely. I did the first global harmonic convergence, and it was pretty thick, and I went, I'm not going to do that again. It was just really thick, and it was a bit unskilled. But from doing all of the psychic development, it was really clunky 40 years ago. It was really clunky. I did, you had to do yoga, you had to do a macro body, you had to do everything. You had to get a shift. It was that thick. Plus, time-wise, like what you could get done in 2 years, I think you can get done in a day now. And now there's a clarity. There's an absolute clarity, and I've seen that shift a lot. I've really been, consciously involved in it, watching how the quickening has happened. It's really exciting. It's really delightful, and so it's really a time saver. That's what meditating every day for 2 years. You just wouldn't need to do that even with the same tools as now. You just wouldn't have to do 2 years of it to get the same result.
Yeah. And saying all that, I really want to honor and acknowledge all the light workers and star seeds and beautiful, brave souls that incarnated early on and did the heavy duty lifting work to support the collective. And again, you may have thought that it was just, mini me closed in your little world where no one knew what you were doing, but you were digging deep, clearing from within your own being. And if you imagine you multiplied by hundreds of thousands all around the world, the effect of that now is visible through the younger generation and through people that are coming forward, starting to work on themselves. It's much easier for them because you have planted enough blueprint of the experience of healing, clearing into the system where it's becoming easier and easier for everyone else. So if we just fast forward into future generations, I feel so much lightness and excitement where they will not have to be dealing with all this heavy stuff. They can just directly start channeling and birthing incredible new solutions and new earth paradigms and systems that can be in place, so we can have that promised peace on this planet and connection to our galactic family and everyday experience. Just so much to look forward to.
It's so true. And I'll tell you something, a contact that happened when I was a small child. This is just what you said, just a different way. So I was out playing Spotlight, shining the torch up into the sky. I did a little video, it's on the meditation page, and I was shining it up, and there was a light shining back at me, and I went, oh yeah, what's going on here? We're playing like catchies. And then I just stopped and I went, hello, and telepathically just came into me. But what would happen was I would get a download, more than it being telepathy where they're having a conversation and it's like being on the telephone. No, it was like this explanation. There's the beautiful canvas of the sky with all the stars would one day be the surface of the earth. And that day you'll see today.
The stars have descended. They are here walking among us.
And it's just beautiful.
Yeah, we've heard it and seen it and witnessed it in so many regression sessions where the people regressing, they suddenly knew themselves as fractals of stars. Like before this lifetime, I knew myself, my existence was, I was a star, and I was able to connect to other stars and feel them across aeons of light years or distances. The stars are on Earth. We are the stars.
With all of the wisdom and all of the knowledge, and that's why I go the Elven. They can re-terraform Earth and bring back all of the, the healing that can go on planet Earth. It's so exciting. Mass consciousness is healing. I'm seeing it. It's healing.
Beautiful. So hopeful. So exciting.
I'm very excited. I didn't know whether I'd be here for this.
You have so much life force energy coming through you. Like you feel very young to me. So lots to look forward to. Is there any other message or anything you would like to share with the audience as a closing story or statement?
First, I really want to thank you, Julia, because your timing and listening and honouring what was coming through you. I really feel as though we need to honour that. I thank you so much, because timing has always been a difficult one for me. So thank you so much for providing this entire wonderful, it's your courage and belief, and now you have all these other beautiful practitioners seeing the proof in the pudding, as we say. It's real. It's real. It's not pretending. It is a real, beautiful journey for everybody. The thing is that I know what it's like to walk with those pockets hidden. I really know what it's like to feel like there's a little something bothering you. You don't really know what that is, but you feel like you can do all of these things. You're very, very capable. This is the thing of being a starseed, is that you feel so capable in these things, but the earth isn't ready for you. That's the hard one. But it's not. It's time now. It's time now to release that. We don't need to go another day without knowing those alignments. The time is here. It's time to shine, and it's your time to shine. And thank you, Julia, and bless your soul.
Thank you. Well, that leads me to one more question that I would like to ask you for the benefit of the viewers. You've really experienced what it is like to be alone in sharing certain information and experiencing perhaps much harsher level of judgment from the environment. How did you deal with that, and what was that journey like? How did your inner shifts, your inner beliefs changing then affect how others received your teachings, your sharings?
It was really, for me, I used to just travel. I never stayed in one spot very long. So that was my way of dealing with it. I was just always traveling. And then even with children, I would just moved in different countries and such. That was one of my ways. But also I isolate myself. I still do. And I select, and I still do, because I'm really in the habit of who I am around energetically. It still works for me. I choose my environment. Really harsh to come through is what I can say, really harsh. And I think that I'd need maybe to incarnate again to really let all of that go and come in again to have a fresh start without all of that baggage, because it's been really hard. It's hard, and at the same time, oh yeah, here we go, or whatever. It's quite complex, actually. It's not that easy to really get it into a little nutshell.
Yeah,
very, very long journey. I've had an exciting life. I have just done it anyway. I just have the conversations that I want to have. And if people don't particularly like it, well, they can leave. But what I've noticed is that people are more receptive to higher knowledge, I suppose. I'm not saying I've got all the answers, everything. I'm not at all. But people are definitely ready now, a lot more awake to get away from the ego clash, rather than it being in ego clash. It's now soul journey, and it's because it's on us now. And I don't think that you can get away from it. And my motto for a really long time is the only way out is to go in.
It's very powerful. Yeah, I command anyone who chooses to go through spiritual consciousness expansion journey, going through the inner paradigm shift, and they remain in the same place where they were born, where they grew up. And if their environment is not progressing and evolving as rapidly as they are, yet they remain to stay there, like, I command anyone for doing that, because that is, I find, the hardest path. If I moved away from Slovakia to Ireland, and this is where I feel free to be who I really am in my higher frequency. After 4 years of not traveling back home, this summer we did go for 2 weeks, and there wasn't much change in the consciousness. And I had zero conversations for 2 weeks about what I really do and what is really happening in the world. I had to meet my family where they are at. I held a loving, compassionate space, but I wouldn't be able to stay because I felt like a closed rose flower, whereas here I feel completely open and thriving. If any of you are holding and anchoring light in a really dense environment, I command you and I love you and I send you a big cosmic hug for that courage and
really
perseverance.
It's a huge thing to do. And in fact, you know, it's amazing because I've actually been in the same spot for 7 years. That's amazing. It's a miracle what happens with expanding consciousness, because I feel like, oh, it's time now. I'm like ready for this time. You know, it's like, this is what I've been waiting for, is this. I'm so excited about this time. And that whole journey of coming through and moving, like you were saying about being in one spot. But still, you don't really, there's only a certain level of conversation that you can have with people. And especially after the last few years, it's been really testy on everybody. And it's like there's a lot of people who are going to be staying in one space and there's a lot of people who are moving on in a slightly different, and been aware of this for a really long time. And we've just got to let that happen. And when we choose our conversations with the people, we can still love them, even if they don't get us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and for that, I'm grateful for the online community. It feels like there's so many of us there, and we can really feel freely about expressing these incredible stories that are coming through Galactic Astrology. So we have a private community for the course students, but there's also a public page on Facebook, Galactic Astrology Soul Tribe. There's a lot of beautiful posts and comments and whole community that is very delightful to engage with. This was so fun. Thank you so much, Amanda. And I really look forward to seeing more from you as you start building your online presence and sharing more of your valuable content. And my goodness, I'm really excited for people that will feel guided to have their session with you. I'm sure they're up for a treat. Thank you for shining your light.
Thank you. Blessings on your soul, and blessings on your soul, whoever's listening. You've got this. You've got this.
Much love. See you all again soon.
Much love.
Cheerio.